All right, secret UFO disclosure meetings. Not meeting, but meetings. Today, we're going to talk about this subject. This has gone viral. It's exploding all over social media. It's on every major social media platform. Even the mainstream media is picking this up and talking about this. And there's a lot of conjuncture. There's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of scrutiny. There's a lot of misinterpretations and twisting and distortions, and it goes on and on and on. And so today, we're going to talk about this today, and I've got a very special guest that we're going to pull into the program, and we're going to dissect this thing, and we want truth. This might be offensive to some, and to others, it may not. But at the end of the day, what we want is clarification, and what we want is for the body of Christ to be prepared, to be ready, and to be edified. That's our mission, and that's our goal. So on today's podcast, stick around. We're going to unravel, we're going to unpack, and we're going to bring out the facts. We're going to bring out fiction, and we're going to bring out fabrication. Facts, fiction, and fabrication. And we're going to cipher through it, and we're going to try to bring you the best possible picture, the big picture of everything that we're talking about on this program in regard to the recent UFO disclosure meeting. So let's go.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's up, family? It is Friday, May the 8th. Can you believe it? It is May 8th. Ridiculous. I cannot believe that, it seems like I say this like every 2 weeks, but it's literally like you blink an eye and the month goes by, and we're almost halfway through the year of 2026. And boy, has it shaped up to be one for the books. I've said this, we're facing a trifecta. We've got war in the Middle East. We've got UFO disclosure. And now we've got what could be possibly another pandemic cooking up. So there's no shortage of craziness that's going on. So we don't shy away from any of these topics. We cover it all here. Okay. So if you're new to the program, this is End Time Headlines. We're news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. I'm your host, Ricky Scapera, the founder, the pastor, and the voice of End Time Headlines. We want to welcome you to tonight's program. If you happen to be new, first time joining us, first time tuning in, if you're watching by the premiere, or you're just coming into the comments, or you can comment on Apple or by Spotify, we welcome you. Do us a favor, let us know that you're new and where you're tuning in from. We'd love to welcome you. Our admins, you'll see them if you're in the chat in the premiere here on YouTube, they've got the little blue shield. They're going to greet you. And most people that come in, they speak well of our group here at End Time Headlines. And I'm very proud of our admins in our group. We have a very special group of people. They love you. We want to say welcome, and we love you already. And we hope that you stick around. Listen, we do have a free gift we want to give you, and that is our free app. If you haven't picked it up today, you can pick it up on Apple or Android. If you're watching a visual of this, if you'll just scan that QR code right there on the screen, it'll bring you to a page where you can download our free app. As I've said before, guys, for you guys that are on Apple, you've got the latest version of this. Android, Google has given us a lot of flack. We're jumping through hoops trying to get things worked out to get the latest update. You can get the app, but the latest version of it is still in the works. We're waiting for an update on that, and we hope to get that out there. So, guys, today, as we said at the introduction of this, by now everybody knows that we have got this UFO disclosure, secret meetings with pastors. Josh, this stuff has exploded. It's all over the place. And I knew when this was going down, I was like, I got to get Josh onto the program because I want to have a discussion with him. So welcome to the program, Josh. Welcome back to ETH. I know many of our people love you here, and we thank you for being a part of the program tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, Ricky. Thank you for inviting me back on. You know, the first time I came on, a lot of your audience started checking out some of my videos, and a few of them have stuck around for every single one. And, you know, I mean, I'm biased of my own audience, of course, but you out there, I think you've got one of the best audiences. So I just really appreciate you, appreciate your ministry, and appreciate the people that follow End Time Headlines. So thank you so much for having me back on.
I appreciate that. And listen, if somebody has happened to watch, maybe they're tuning in for the first time and hearing you, and they don't know much about you, why don't you let them know where they can connect with you, how they can connect with you, and all that?
Yeah, well, my YouTube channel is youtube.com/@dailyrenegade. Website is dailyrenegade.com. And then I also have renegadepublishers.com, which is a company that I just started because the Christian publishing industry is kind of a mess, and it's not super fair to their authors. So, hey, if anybody out there has a nonfiction, we're not doing fiction just yet, but a nonfiction Christian book in line, you can go to renegadepublishers.com, click submissions, read through that, see if it fits. And if so, send us an email. We'd love to read it. But yeah, those are the main places where I can be found. And this is such a strange day because I started ministry about 15 years ago. And one of the first things that I talked about was the whole alien UFO stuff from a Christian perspective. Because back then, the only one that I knew that was talking about it was, you know, L.A. Marzulli. And there were definitely some others, but I was brand new into the topic. So I learned a lot from him. And then just through the years, I've gotten to meet and interact with a lot of other Christians that we have an answer to this whole UFO phenomenon thing where the rest of the world, they're scratching their heads wondering what's going on. So especially now, it's our duty to get out there and teach what the Bible says about all this stuff. So I just really appreciate you having me on for this.
Yeah, I do find it interesting, and you and I talked about this off camera, that it's fascinating to me that I hear a lot of these the younger influencers, pastors, podcasters, whatnot, that are now, you know, they're delving into this stuff. We're talking about the Nephilim, the giants, the watchers, the fallen angels, the UFOs, the UAPs, all of that, the supernatural. And I hear them say, you know, well, nobody's warning the body of Christ about this. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, because for over 30 years or more, a lot of these guys have been on the front line, the Chuck Misslers, the Michael Heisers, like you said, L.A. Marzulli, Perry Stone, whom, you know, we're going to mention him in this podcast. I remember when he was talking about the giants and the fallen angels and the Nephilim. I remember this when I first got saved over 26 years ago. He was talking about this stuff. So it's interesting to me that, you know, that there's a newfound interest in this all of a sudden. And I think a lot of that is because of the so-called disclosures that this current administration has promised it's going to come out. And what that's done is it has sparked an interest in this. And, you know, with a lot of the younger generation that don't know that the Misslers and the Heisers and the Marzullis, they don't know these guys. You know, they know, some of the younger guys like us. But this is a good thing because it gets these conversations going, and we need to have these discussions. And as I said at the introduction of this, we want truth about this. And I think it is our duty as believers who have platforms to inform the body of Christ of what is coming in the days ahead. You got anything you want to add to that before we
well, and as Christians, you know, we should be absolutely in love with the truth, and that's what it's all about. It's not about, because I'm seeing a lot of this online with some Christians, some non-Christians, but I'm going to focus on the Christians because we're the ones that are supposed to be representing truth. There are some Christians out there online that they'll take this really enigmatic thing, you know, this whole disclosure UFO phenomenon, but a lot of times they'll kind of make it what is most interesting to them, or kind of like I get the sense, I don't know what's in their hearts, but I get the sense that some people make it like what they want to be true. And there is a temptation of that, because I as a kid, I loved sci-fi and I loved the idea of like, what if there are aliens on other planets and stuff? And I'm not saying that the Bible specifically precludes that or says that that's not true, but it also gives no support to it either.
Right.
I think like when you read the Bible, probably the safest assumption that we can make is to say, well, there probably aren't any life. There's no life on other planets except Earth. But even if there was, they're so far off and they have nothing to do with us. I don't think that there's going to be any kind of real interaction, because why wouldn't God warn us about that? Because what we see with a lot of these so-called UFO alien encounters or abductions, the things that these beings are telling people, abductees, it's exactly what you would expect Satan to tell people.
Right.
It's all anti-Christian, anti-God stuff, or they'll show up as Jesus and say that they're actually an ascended master. It's like pro-New Age, anti-Christian rhetoric. And I just wouldn't expect that from some other alien civilization. I would assume that their culture or their beliefs would be completely, alien to ours. They wouldn't have a real interest in debunking Jesus or anything. So, but I think what happens sometimes is people get an interest in this. I've had an interest in it for years, and there's that temptation to want to make it seem like it's something more than what the Bible just clearly tells us what it is. And I think that's incredibly dangerous. That's not being, a real lover of truth. That's more seeking after our own egos and trying to fill in the blanks for what we would prefer. And a good example of this, I actually way early on in my life, right before I got into ministry, I did this with the whole rapture debate. And I know there's plenty of people with plenty different ideas about it. Not all of them are rooted in pride or ego, but I'm saying that mine was. So I was raised in pre-trib belief. But then as I grew up, I kind of rebelled against that, and it just wasn't interesting to me anymore. And I wasn't looking at it like that at the time, but looking back now, that's exactly what I was doing. So I got into mid-trib, then pre-wrath, then post-trib, then no-trib. And, I was like in all of the camps. But I was like, I was really not into the pre-trib thing anymore. And after I grew up, God kind of got a hold of me and got my ego in check. And I just had to lay it before him and say, okay, Lord, I know what I'm doing now. I see what I'm doing. I'm finding what's most interesting to me. I don't want to do that. If you want, I will never speak on the rapture again. If you want me to know what it is, tell me and I'll be glad to teach on it. But if you don't, I'm just going to leave this topic alone. And for years I did. I just left it alone. And after some growth and maturity, the Lord just started revealing really good, solid Bible teachings that's in support of the pre-trib rapture. And all of a sudden, because my ego wasn't blinding me, I was just able to see it for exactly what it is. And it was to me, it's not anymore, but to me, it was the least interesting option because it was what I was brought up with. But the more I studied it and really got to know it, it's like, no, this is actually the most exciting option because it's the truthful one. It's the true one. And also it's just the best outcome for Christians anyway. But all that to say, I think that with the UFO stuff, some Christians have made the same mistake that I did with the rapture. And again, I'm not saying that people of any other rapture belief are necessarily doing what I was doing. I can only speak for myself. But I think some people with the UFO stuff are doing the same thing. They're making it into something they want it to be. Because wouldn't that be interesting if there was life on other planets? Sure, it would be absolutely interesting. And I would be interested in that. But I just don't think, given the evidence, I don't think that's at all what we're seeing. I think what we're seeing is we're living in the end times, and it's a repeat of Genesis 6 as in the days of Noah. That's the actual stuff that we're warned about. We're not warned about beings from another planet coming to Earth and how do we interact with them, how do we get along with them. Like the Bible has nothing to say about that, but it does have a lot to say about the fallen watchers, the Nephilim, Genesis 6, days of Noah, end times, prophecy. So that's what I think that we need to keep our focus on, where sometimes I think Christians that have been in this for a long time might get bored by that because they already know it. But again, that's putting our own wants, our own selves ahead of the truth. And we really need to be lovers of truth, whatever that truth may be. So I'm right with you, Ricky.
Right. So, And this is what I think, and this is what I fear, is that I call it the Hollywood syndrome too, is where we allow, Hollywood fabrications and the portrayals and fictions to kind of bleed into our theology or our beliefs. And therefore, and look, you talk about, if you come out flat out and say you believe that aliens are interdimensional beings, which, Ephesians chapter 6, and we'll get more into that later, but that they're principalities and powers, they're basically demonic entities. Well, that's boring. That's boring to most people, including Christians. That's not going to get traction. That's not going to get clicks. That's not going to get, the notoriety. So that's boring to them. So, and what I'm afraid of is many of these guys will, because they know it's starting to lose attention spans, they kind of spice it up a little bit, and add and embellish things. Now, I want our audience to remember what we're talking about here, because I know some of y'all say, we all get to the point, we want to know about these meetings. Okay, well, let's get to that. Okay, so let's show the article that gained so much traction here.
Yeah.
This is the, let me pull a different angle. Here we go. So this is from the Daily Mail, quote, and I love how the mainstream media puts a spin on this stuff too. Religious leaders told, quote, prepare now for UFO disclosures to unleash Bible-changing revelations. This whole thing right here is so contorted right here.
Yeah.
We'll get to the truth here. Influential pastors are claiming that they have been told to prepare their followers for shocking revelations about UFOs, which may upend belief in the Bible. Now, I'm going to interject something there in just a moment, and we'll tell you who's going to fall victim to that if, in the event, something like that was to take place. Perry Stone, well-known evangelist, author, Bible teacher from Tennessee, warned that fellow pastors were recently invited to a secret meeting with U.S. intelligence officials to prepare for the release of secret files on extraterrestrials. Okay, now we've got the actual footage of this, guys. We're going to show you, again, what I want to do, I don't want to give you hearsay. We want to give it to you straight from the mouth of the individuals, and then you can form your own opinion. But here is the clip that went viral of Perry. Check it out.
And I'm not going to go into great detail, but there were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the United States government and others.
Okay, we got to stop right here. Right off the bat, some of this is not true, guys. First of all, there was several meetings, not one. Two, this was not U.S. government officials that they were having meetings with. Now, I'm going to prove that to you in just a moment, because we're going to pull up some of the pastors that were in the meeting, Josh, that were there, that you and I both know personally. And there was not government officials in that meeting. Okay, so we want to let that know. And let me go by. Let's go to the clip. Let's just listen.
Share with them a concern that they had. And this particular man, and I'll not name him, and then we may end up doing some teachings with him or having an event at his church. He has a great church.
Now, guys, and I've had people email me and message me, so I'm going to go ahead and answer that. I don't know who he's talking about. I had an idea of who it was, but later on I've discovered that it wasn't. So I'm not going to try to make an assumption who this is. It doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant, but let's watch the rest of this.
But he said, Perry, what they're about to release, from what we're hearing, there's going to be a release concerning aliens and concerning unidentified flying object spacecraft, that some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people and you need to get ready to answer them for what you're about to hear being released.
Okay.
And some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly a part of our planet, and the materials they're made of are.
All right, stop. We've been hearing about this, Josh, right? How long have we been hearing about that? You interject anytime you want to, by the way, brother. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, not a problem. Yeah, well, and also just to remind the audience, so Perry is giving information based on something he heard from someone else. So
yes, he's not there.
Claiming that. Yeah, he's not claiming that he was at the meeting. So all of this information, we don't know who it comes from, and so we have to take it with a grain of salt. There was one thing that we'll probably get to later that he mentions in there that I found out wasn't true, but I don't think that he's trying to deceive anybody. I think he's just relaying what he was told. But yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this for years and years and years. Yeah,
I mean, we've had whistleblowers come forward. What was his name? David Gresham? Is that one of the guys?
David Grush, yeah.
Whatever his name was. Yeah. He was a whistleblower. Others have said that they've retrieved these crafts. You go all the way back to Roswell, and we could speculate on this. What is it? Or is it of earthly origin? They have said that 80%, over 80% of all these UAPs, UFOs, the underwater crafts are of earthly origin, military origin, top secret, over 80%, maybe even higher than that. Then there's that small fringe, group of these objects or whatnot that are, again, they can't explain their origins. And then again, we'll get into that, Josh, and we've talked a little bit about that at the beginning of this, that, this doesn't mean they're extraterrestrial in origin. It just means that they cannot be explained in natural terms. Again, we have to go back to the scripture. Now I'm going to rewind this a little bit because I want you to hear this, because he's about to make a statement here. And I know this is what Josh was referring to, that we're going to dig out a little bit and see, was this really said? All right, let's listen.
To hear being released. And some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly a part of our planet, and the materials they're made of are not a part of our planet. Very strange reptilian-looking creatures and other things that almost sound like something out of a sci-fi movie or an Orson Welles book.
All right, there it is. So Perry is alleging that whoever this pastor was, he said it was a pastor, has a church that that he may have onto his podcast. He may go speak, but he is saying that this individual told him that in this meeting, now we don't know which meeting, because we're going to show you in a minute that there were several meetings. But he's alleging that in this particular meeting that reptilians was mentioned. Now, Josh, I'm going to tell you guys, people's asked me, who were the pastors in the meeting? Now, we know, I'll name some of these because they're public. I'm going to name the ones that were public, that've been told publicly. And Mike Signorelli was one, Alan Didio was in one, Larry Ragland, who I personally know, Jamie Walden, correct?
Mm-hmm. And I actually got an email from him.
Yes. I want you to read that email to our audience that you got from Jamie, who was in one of these meetings, and what he said about it. And again, this is in regard to the statement about reptilians.
Yeah, definitely. So and this was before, so this was still early on. This was before that I knew that there was more than one meeting, because I thought, like everybody else did at first, that this was just one big meeting, but apparently there were at least two, maybe more. But I wrote him and asked him for some clarifying information on it. And actually, it's really funny. I forgot. Because this was like 2 months ago, I had Jamie Walden on my show, and we were talking about UFO disclosure, and he had mentioned, so this was like mid-March, and he had mentioned, I just came back from this meeting on this UFO thing, and he was talking about what is now viral. I didn't realize that it would turn out to be as big of a deal as it was, but we talked quite a bit on that show about that. So I emailed him and asked him and if people want, that is up on my YouTube, youtube.com/@dailyrenegade. renegade. But I emailed him and asked just some more information about it, if he could clarify, because there was so much confusion around it. So he wrote me back and he said, hey, yes, I was at that meeting. Here are some cliff notes. Do you want me to go through all these or just the one about the reptilians?
Go ahead. You're fine. You
Yeah.
can
Okay.
go ahead.
All right. Yeah. It's not very long, but, okay. So first it was government officials, some retired, some still active. Now that's important because there's been people online saying that there were no government officials here. Well, Jamie, who was at the meeting, said that there was. So he said,
Maybe a
he said,
different
I
meeting
know.
then. Yep.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be.
It's
So he said,
interesting.
yeah, it was government officials, some retired, some still active. I know them and their families intimately. They are legit, no matter what all the internet trolls are saying. It was not an echo chamber of Christians just stroking egos, quite the opposite. Congressman Burleson did call and speak with us directly. There was no mention of reptilians ever in the meeting. Perry Stone was not there. I am sure it is just things getting lost in translation or in sensationalism. I don't think he is intentionally being misleading in stating that part of the info. He's repeating what a friend told him.
Right.
And so that's like the main. I'll go because there's some other really interesting stuff in here, but that's the main thing was that he's saying that reptilians weren't mentioned, but he thinks that it was just something lost in translation. He doesn't think Perry Stone is being deceiving, and I agree.
No, I agree with that too. Yeah.
Check this out, though. This is what gets us into the Genesis 6 stuff. The hybridization program is alive, well, and much more advanced than what most people know. I was shown the evidence and the photos. Now, on that one, I did email back and say, hey, can you give me like a lot more information on that point and another point that I'm about to read? I haven't heard back yet. I know he keeps really busy, but if and when I do get a...
Right. And he may not be able to, because that's the thing, guys. We don't want to put any of these guys, we don't want to put them in danger. So we're not going to try. And I know how people are. Well, I don't see any photos. I don't see any videos. Look, it's the same reason, guys, that likely, I'm going to burst your bubble here because I might give away something. But it's probably the same likelihood of why every other disclosure that's come from our government has been nothing burgers, because of the amount of people that is at risk of losing their lives of the information. So I would not hold my breath even on this UFO disclosure. We'll get more into that later on. Go ahead, Josh. Sorry, I just wanted to interject that.
Oh, no, you're good. I totally agree with you there because, and just for the audience, just so they know, I'm not reading a private email. Jamie gave me permission to share this. So yeah, it could be that he might have more information that he just can't share for if it's dangerous, and we wouldn't want him to do that. So yeah, he said the hybridization program is alive, well, and much more advanced than what most people know. Again, if I get more clarification on that, I will absolutely share it with people. 90% of all UAP abduction experiences are coming from the private sector in particular and the leading governments in general. I don't know what he means by that one. That was another one that I asked for more information on. Like, what exactly do you mean by that? So I don't know, but that's interesting. Okay, then he goes on. There were only 3 pastors in the meeting, myself and 2 others, Larry Ragland and one other local pastor who was not too interested in what was happening. I do know that my bros giving the brief did have a second one after us. This is where Alan Didio was at. I have never met him or corresponded with him. The briefing was pure and Christ-honoring in every way. Our sources are deeply concerned for the church and for the salvation of souls unto Jesus. That is the Cliff Notes. The details of the briefing are nothing earth-shattering for guys like us who have been immersed in this information space for a long, long time. But for the normal churchgoers, it would be paradigm-shattering. So that's the information that I got straight from Jamie Walden, who, yeah, as you mentioned, was at least one of the meetings, and that's what he had to say.
Now, I do want to pull this up because this agrees with what Jamie said. Matt Gaetz, and this is public, makes out of this world claim about government secrets. Let's read a little bit of this. Former, I'll get it out. Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz made a bold claim about a secret U.S. government program that, to be honest, many will find alienating, literally, okay, stupid puns here. In an interview with podcaster Benny Johnson, Gaetz insisted there's a, quote, secret program that is actively working to breed, there it is, alien, and we're using quotations there, human hybrids designed to help officials communicate with people on, quote, on other worlds. Now, again, guys, we've given you our opinion. These are not, quote unquote, aliens. These are, again, we're talking about fallen angels, Nephilims. We're talking about demons. We're talking about, again, Genesis chapter 11 stuff. Quote, I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform. Doesn't this sound very familiar with what Josh just said? Worked for the U.S. Army that was briefing me on the locations. Wow, the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. Now, of course, I'm going to read a little. Gaetz described the man that gave him the extraterrestrial info as both a senior enlisted man with U.S. Army and a whistleblower. Now, here's the thing about this, Josh, is the consensus is what we get here is it's all secondhand information. An individual told this individual, and these individuals told these individuals, and we were at this meeting, and we were told by this individual. Again, do what y'all want with this, but, you know, our intention is to prepare, listen to me, the body of Christ in the event, and we'll elaborate more on this, in the event that if something crazy like this was to surface with actual evidence, we don't want, and that's the heart of these pastors too, and I know that because I know many of their hearts, is they don't want us, the body of Christ, to fall into deception over this. Now, the problem with this is, the thing that bothers me, Josh, is like this reptilian claim. Oh my gosh, that's the thing that went viral, really, honestly, went all over the place. Yeah. And even mainstream podcasters and media outlets picked it up. Here's one, and this was funny to me. So we want to interject a little bit of humor in this podcast too. I don't know. Have you seen this, Josh?
No, I haven't.
Beck? Oh, it's hilarious. All right. So let's listen to this. We'll do a live reaction to this.
I don't know if you saw this, but, I don't even know if this is true. But apparently there were some people from the government with inside knowledge that have asked a group of pastors to meet somewhere in the country, Tennessee. And they met to get briefed on, I don't know, lizard people. I don't know exactly what. Do you have this story? Have you looked into this?
Yeah, a little bit. So this started going around yesterday, and at first I dismissed it. I eventually started seeing it getting pushed all over the place. But apparently there was a, quote, large group of pastors. I looked a few of them up. Some of them are well-known evangelists that supposedly met at an Airbnb in the mountains of Tennessee where
hang on just.
Well, and again, guys, it wasn't just one meeting. So again, we want to clarify that. That's misinformation.
Just a second. Hang on. Send me a list of the pastors, because I probably know some of them, and I will call them.
Okay.
And find
out.
Wow,
interesting.
Okay, but go ahead. They met at an Airbnb.
Right. One of these pastors' name is Perry Stone. So he put a video out on X yesterday, or on YouTube. And I'll just read you a quote that kind of summarizes it. He said, quote, I'm not going into great detail, but there were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the U.S. government and others share with them a concern that they had. The concern revolved around, quote, some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly part of our planet, and materials that are made are not part of our planet. Very strange reptilian-looking creatures and other things that almost sound like something of a sci-fi movie or H.G. Wells' book. And it sounds like they're gathering the pastors together to get a unified message so that when disclosures happen, that there's not, I don't know what, there's not, I know this has been discussed in UFO circles before, that there will be civil unrest amongst religious people and how to control that.
And again, Josh, anytime you want to interject, brother.
Wait. Among religious people? Don't you think if we found out that there are lizard people here, we would all be a little upset. Why is it just the religious people that are going to be like, I'm not going to stand for the lizard people in the shopping center? I mean, what?
Well, this is when you get this like specific claims, and I've actually talked about a documentary. The documentary is called Mirage Men, and I bring that up because at the very end of the documentary, they talk about one of the big specific claims that religious people might have a problem with, which understandably so. But one of the claims or part of the disclosures has always been rumored that the human race has been manufactured by extraterrestrials.
Right.
That's one of the multitude of. And that's what they thought.
So wait. The people who claim to believe in Jesus Christ are going to go, well, now wait a minute. The lizard people say they came up with all of that. We're going to believe that?
Sounds like a psyop invented by atheists. What is going
really
on in Tennessee?
I mean, as a Christian, the first thing that I would say is if a lizard person was like, you know what, we came here long ago and we just made up this Jesus thing, first thing that would come behind me or come to mind would be, get behind me, Satan.
Right.
I mean, that does not sound like something I go, no, well, wait a minute, that makes me question Jesus. It makes me question the lizard people.
So, well, Ricky, it's interesting. Ricky mentioned PSYOP, and there definitely seems like they're pushing to, I don't know, there's been a lot of talk of disclosure lately, and it definitely kind of, I'm getting the PSYOP vibe on a lot of this. But David Grush was trending yesterday also on aliens. He was one of the big whistleblowers, and he was saying that disclosure is going to ramp up between the next 60 to 90 days. We've heard the White House talk about how they're going to release a lot of files. Kash Patel was just talking about the release of a lot.
Now, guys, as of the recording this on Friday, May 8th, the White House has released the latest files of this disclosure. We're going to go over that on this podcast, so stick around. We're going to talk about that.
A lot of files. He said that, I think, yesterday, the past couple days. Something is coming from the White House. Whether it's a big nothing burger or not, I don't know. But
it's going to be a big nothing burger. There's no way the president... Look, can we just be logical here for a second? First of all, if the president knew that there were lizard people among us, okay? Lizard people among us. Do you think he'd be like out there going, and by the way, oil prices are going to come down. I'm working on the next election. We got to get out. He would be focused on is there a bigger story in all of mankind than we find out that aliens are among us?
Right.
I don't think there's a bigger story. The whole of government would be gearing towards that, not. By the way, we got to bring our interest rates down, and we're going to work on some housing programs. And by the way, lizard people are here. And looks like the war in Ukraine. What did you just say? Yeah, lizard people are here. But let me tell you about the negotiations that are going on. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
There is a fortuitous timing to a lot of the alien talk. It always seems like when there's other large news out there or something that the government doesn't really want to talk about or something like that, we always seem to get a disclosure. It seems,
or is it the government? These nameless leaks that are coming, but people connected to the government. I'd like to know who the people connected to the government are.
Yeah.
Who are they? Who is doing this? This is, again, honestly, I would love to hear from Christians. I'd love to hear from you, because maybe a lot of people say I'm not a Christian, even though I've been saved and redeemed by Jesus Christ by accepting his atonement. Somehow are not a Christian. But I would love to hear from Christians who somehow or another this is going to shake your faith. I just don't believe that. I believe in God until lizard people show up. And then I'm going to listen to the lizard people, and they're like, yeah, let me just tell you that we all came here a long time ago and made up Jesus. Oh, okay. That's shaking my faith. Sorry. Don't think so.
They do live among us, and Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi. Do you remember? Steve Deace's prediction on your TV show?
Yeah.
Here's the exact quote: "We're going to see at least one elected official claim to have directly communicated with non-human intelligence, and the amount of activity, psyop, whatever you want to call it, on the UFO, UAP, NHI front is ramping up." Now I'm suspicious about why Steve Deace knew that. Maybe was he in this Tennessee meeting? But
is he a lizard person?
That's the better question.
He claims to be a Christian. Maybe he's a lizard person. Oh my God! I mean, he stated that with such authority, though, too. And I'm not saying that he had inside information, but he really, I mean, because that was shocking coming from him.
And we all laughed. We're like, "Okay, Steve," and well, I guess maybe he was right. We're getting closer. Who do you think the politician would be that would announce that they'd had non-human intelligence?
Trump.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, if it is, look, if it's true, Trump, because he's going to let somebody else be the star of that show.
Yeah, not going to happen.
No way. I mean, if he could, the spacecraft would have TRUMP flashing. It wouldn't be like, the end scene of Close Encounters. It's not just lights. It would spell out Trump. It would spell out Trump. He would be the guy. If this is true, believe me, this is the biggest announcement in all of human history. It's not going to be just leaked out. The president would have to be the one. I don't care who the president is.
Right.
The president would have to be the one that would break it to the American people and the world. It would have to be. You're going to say, Marco, I know you're busy on like 80 different jobs. I need you to go out and talk to the people about the lizard people. I'm working on negotiations right now. No, it has to be the president. And there's no way.
Yeah, man, wow.
Well,
Man,
he
that
said
was
he wanted
good.
to hear from Christians, so that's what we're here for.
Here we are. That was a good laugh, though. But, we laugh at this, but there's a lot of truth to what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to, we can't get lost in, again, the Hollywood sci-fi aspect of this. We have to bring this down to earth. No pun intended, kind of, but not really. But we have to be realistic about this. But look, guys, here's the point, is that we have to be careful with our words. And just that one word that, again, according to Jamie, that was never said in that meeting that he was in. But look how this is going. Then you had, now let's talk about, again, now this is my friend Larry Ragland. I know him personally. Let's pull this article up and we'll talk about this. All right. Eric Burleson accepts apology over pastor's alien inventing Jesus comments. And again, guys, I'm reading this from Newsweek. And by the way, just so you'll know, Pastor Larry Ragland and I discussed this article from Newsweek. So this is not a slam on him. We're just going to see how they spin stuff and we're going to read this. Pastor and YouTuber Larry Ragland has apologized after suggesting that he was told in a secret meeting with U.S. officials that aliens had invented Christianity. In a clip circulating on social media, Ragland said that, quote, a very well-known congressman from Missouri, we know who that is now, had called into the private meeting for pastors, adding, quote, on speakerphone, this sitting powerful member of Congress said, quote, they are preparing to tell us that they are from another dimension, that they are a creator, and that these beings, these aliens, whatever you want to call them, they were the ones that seeded us here. There is no such thing as God. Jesus was invented by them, and the Bible was invented by them. Republican Representative Eric Burleson of Missouri, who is among the more outspoken voices in Congress on the topic of UFO disclosure, responded to the clip. So he responds to Larry, quote, I would remind people to listen to what I've already stated publicly, which is basically the following. I do not know what the strange objects in the skies are, and I certainly do not know their origins. I was asked to call in by phone to a conference meeting of theologians. He added, quote, I cannot tell you all that was said at that meeting because I was, quote, not there. So I want to let everybody know that the congressman called in. He wasn't there present and did not hear much of what was said. when I had a chance to speak, I expressed my views, which is that we Christians tend to get dug into our personal worldviews, even if they have nothing to do with what has actually been written in the Bible. So it goes on, it talks about what we already know, but then Pastor Larry Ragland chimed in, and I'm going to just pull up a clip. This was from last night. Give me a second, guys, to pull up the clip. Pastor Larry Ragland on what was actually said. Here we go. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Anyway,
yes, it is.
Bishop, look, there was a meeting.
Yeah.
There were several pastors were there. Perry Stone has already let this out.
Sure.
And you've admitted you were there. Is there anything you want to say about the meeting that you can share with us?
Well, I know we're going to talk about some things as far as disclosure, and I know a lot of people are wanting to know about the meeting. So if you want me to, we'll just go ahead and knock out the meeting at the beginning, and then we can talk about some things. Is that cool?
That's cool. Let's do it.
All right.
What do you want to do?
All right. So here's the thing about the meeting. They're calling it the infamous pastor meeting, but I want everybody to know that there was not just one meeting. Okay.
There you go.
The meetings are legitimate. I was at the actual first meeting. I was not at the second meeting that you're hearing about, but the first meeting, I want to make it very, very clear on a few things here. None of these meetings that I know of, all I know is the one that I was in. Me and my wife were in with a few other people. And then from what I hear from the other meeting, but as far as I know, all meetings are not led by anyone from the government. That's a narrative that's been put out there. No.
Did you hear what he said right there, Josh?
Yeah, not led by anybody in the government, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there weren't, because Jimmy Walden said that there were government officials present there or to some capacity.
Right. So we're, again, guys, we're not twisting or contorting. We're letting these men speak for themselves here.
Nobody ever claimed to be led by government, anybody from the government. It was led by men who were connected with high-level relationships of people in the world of what we would call the UAP and NHI world tied to disclosure. And once again, I want to say that I was not at the meeting that most people are talking about now that, are included people like Alan DiDio, Joseph Z, and others. Okay.
Now we're going to get to that meeting in a minute after this.
Meeting that I was in, it was a long, extensive day meeting that we had. And towards the end of the meeting, Congressman Eric Burleson did call in. He was on a speakerphone.
Okay.
And he did speak to all the pastors. And let me tell you what he said. He thanked us all for what we do for the kingdom. He encouraged us to prepare our congregations for what would eventually come out in what was discussed that day in relation to the topic of disclosure, so that the people of our congregation was not deceived. And I appreciated him for doing that.
Amen.
Now there's a video of me retelling what the congressman said. And as you all know, if you follow me at all, I'm a little prone to get excited and go in different directions and then come back to the previous subject. And I tend to talk too fast at times. People have told me.
I'm guilty of that too. And you guys know that.
That's exactly what happened. I also shared my feelings in this video that's gone viral about what I personally think the narrative will include in relation to the church. And for the record, I have been saying the exact same thing for many years in my pulpit and on my channel.
Amen.
Now, I did not separate what he said from what I said. And because of that, I made an apology video and I addressed the congressman directly and apologized directly to him. And I am thankful to say that Congressman Burleson responded directly to me and to my video. And if it's okay, Pastor, I would like to read his response.
I'd love for you to. Go right ahead.
All right. And in fact, if I can, I'm going to see if I can show this. Can you see me if I show this? Can you see it?
Yeah, we see it. We don't see you, but we see it. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the video that I made. Everybody's probably seen it by now, but I'm very appreciative that Congressman Burleson said these words directly to me. Greatly appreciate the pastor's comments here. I don't hold any blame on him. This kind of thing happens all the time. I have been in politics for a while and have interviewed with countless media outlets on countless topics, but I have never had my words more scrutinized and dissected as when I talk about the topic of UAPs. Wow. So I appreciated the congressman for what he said in that video. So, Paul, I want to say this. When it comes to this subject, from this point forward, and especially in thanks to Congressman Eric Burleson, I am going to spend my time and my energy on what Congressman Burleson asks us all to do. And that was to warn and prepare our people for what is coming and to make sure that they are not deceived.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
Josh, you got any thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's it's commendable that he did apologize because, and I mentioned this in a video that I did yesterday. I don't know Larry very well. We've had really brief like texts and stuff here and there. He's going to come on with Alan Didio. For some reason I cannot say that. I cannot say his name. I keep messing it up. I keep saying Didio, and it's not that. Yeah. There's and the reason is I play guitar. There's a brand of guitar strings called D'Addario, the guitar strings that I use. And so I get those mixed up. But anyway, I'm having both of them on my show on Monday to clear some of this out. But so I don't know Alan at all. I barely have met Larry, but I said in a video, and well, I'll say now, I think that's really, really commendable that he didn't try to downplay it. He actually just apologized for exactly what it was. Because so many times, and you know this, 9 out of 10 times, 99 out of 100 times, what happens when a pastor or somebody, kind of gets caught in something that they misspoke or shouldn't have said or whatever. They obfuscate it, they ignore it, they'll gaslight and try to redefine the whole thing. And I actually thought that was really cool that Larry did not do that at all, and he just did like exactly what I would have done if I made a mistake like that. I would have just immediately owned up to it, apologized, right. And because I've misspoke before on my show. There have been times where I've reported something and then come to find out, it's not true. So I have to go back, and then the next day I'll just say, hey, I totally screwed up. This turns out this wasn't true. I should have looked into it more. And, that's happened 2 or 3 times since I've been in ministry. And so he handled it exactly the way I would have. And I thought that was really honorable. That was good. So again, I don't really know him all that well, but for me, that was a great first impression. But and that's cool that Eric Burleson also wrote back and accepted the apology and everything. But it does show why we have to be so careful of our words and so careful what we say. And a lot of times I'll use a teleprompter for exactly that reason, because I tend to go off on rabbit trails and I tend to talk fast because I think fast, and sometimes things don't come out right. They get misconstrued. So I really try to limit how much I do that, unless it's a topic that I really, really know really well and have spoken on dozens or hundreds of times or whatever. But yeah, what was your takeaway from that?
No, I agree. Again, I don't know. I'm the opposite. I don't know Alan personally, but I do know Larry, and I know his heart, and that's his heart. He just, he firmly believes that this, the disclosure, the whole package of this is going to be, in part of the great deception that's going to cause people to fall away in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and there's nothing wrong with that. We've warned about that. We believe that if they were to generate this and if they were to present this stuff, then that's exactly where I would go with that too. Matthew 24, be not deceived. Now, speaking of Alan, let's let me pull up the clip from him. Now, this was a live stream that he did at his church, and he also discussed, he brings out the discussion of this as well, and he's going to bring clarification. Remember, guys, 2 meetings. From what I'm gathering, there was 2 meetings. One was a smaller gathering. The other one was an Airbnb gathering, on a larger scale. Now, he's going to talk about that here. Let's watch this.
Cleveland-based televangelist Perry Stone recently claimed that pastors in an undisclosed state were warned by individuals connected to the U.S. government to prepare their congregations for coming disclosures involving non-human craft, materials not from this earth, and even reptilian entities. But you don't need to hear it from me. You can hear it directly from Perry Stone. Before I play this video, I want to show you a couple of things.
Okay, we're going to We're going to fast forward this.
This
We've already heard
from a
this.
man saying Eric
No, wait, pause it real
Burleson-
quick. So, by you saying it's absolutely true, everyone online is now thinking, okay, you believe there are alien lizard people.
I see.
But no, the meeting was absolutely true. That is what they told you.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. The meeting is true.
Yes, what was told to you. So that's not opinion. Right. Anyway, let's keep it going.
Are we going to keep it rolling?
If you want to, or we can stop it here.
Well, I guess if there's something to hear, I'm seeing these clips with you guys. I didn't know what he was.
We can move on because I think we do need to provide context about the meeting, what actually happened. Let's get into that.
You guys want to hear the story behind the meeting? The real story. The unvarnished truth here on Revival Nation. If you haven't already hit the share button, guys, hit the share button because we need people to hear the true story.
For once.
Not what's going out there. And then we'll get into your questions. And again, whether it's Mike Winger or whatever, please, we'd be happy to answer your questions. Seriously. Happy to answer your questions. Actually, a very nice guy in person. I can sound kind of mean behind a microphone, but I'm not. I'm a teddy bear. Okay.
I'm a witness.
So, I was invited to this meeting. And here's a little insight that may be causing some confusion. From what I understand, there are 2 identical meetings organized by the same individuals.
There you go.
2 identical meetings organized by the same individuals. One was a little bit bigger, which I believe is the one that Perry Stone is referring to, and one was a little bit smaller. I was invited to both meetings. The first one I was like, nah, no thank you. The second one I happened to be in the area and I was able to make it to the location, which is why it was in an Airbnb, because at NRB in Tennessee, there's a lot of ministry gifts who are clustered together who won't know.
Now, he mentions the NRB, that's the National Religious Broadcasting Convention. And there's a reason why I want you to remember that, because we're going to bring up a clip from somebody that was there as well. And I want you to hear what they say. We're just throwing that out.
Normally would not be together. Our schedules just don't allow it. And so these individuals were able to get an Airbnb off-site, and there was a spot where all of us could join together. And the way we communicate this, we're not attempting to dramatize it or sensationalize it. We're attempting to communicate to you what we actually felt going into this weird meeting, which was the strangest meeting I've ever been invited to in my life. I'm literally approached by individuals. And the only thing that's secret about this, because people are making fun of, it's a secret meeting and then you come out and talk about it, huh? Yeah, right. What a secret meeting. No, what was secret about it were the gentlemen who were organizing the meeting. They prefer to remain anonymous because of their experience, and possibly now with the revelations of what's happening with many scientists and other people who are in the know on this subject matter, that could feed into the reason why they really don't want their identities to be made known.
I mean, and that makes sense, don't it, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, that we talked about that the last time that I was on. Was that on my show or your show?
I can't remember. I can't
remember.
No, it was
One
on
of
your
our shows,
show.
but
It was on your show. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so the last time that we talked, that's right. That was on my show. We talked about all the dead scientists and missing scientists and how they seem to have some kind of connection with like NASA and anti-gravity research and stuff like that, and how strange that is. So if there's some threat there or some danger, then I can understand why those individuals would want to be anonymous. But at the same time, if they're anonymous, if the ones that are leading this are anonymous, we have no idea who they are, or, I mean, they could be anybody. I mean, who's to say they're anybody at all? So that, right. That's where we have to take it with a grain of salt. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it gives leverage for the doubters and the people that are going to say, yeah, whatever, So anyway, you can't please everybody, no matter what you do. Even if you did name these people, they would probably discredit that too as well. So let's go back.
And I believe one of them was operating on an alias that even I don't know his name. So even with that, this is a unique experience for me, where I'm called, and this is the way I frame it because it's true. So imagine me in this situation, someone I know who has extensive experience within the armed forces, I shall say, and tells me about the legitimacy of this meeting and invites me to this meeting.
That's interesting.
I go to this Airbnb in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, it was at night on this dark road in the middle of this neighborhood. And I'm asked when I get on the property to turn my phone on airplane mode. This is weird, guys. This is not sensationalizing it. It is sensational. It's weird. And we go into this meeting with, I don't remember all of the people who were there because NRB is just full of, there's a lot of people you're connecting with there. But I know Mike Signorelli was there. I know that Joseph Z was there. I know Ben Hughes was there. And
all right, so he's name dropping some people. If you want to know who are these pastors, he's naming.
I think Fred Price was there. There was a few others there. So between a half a dozen to a dozen, something like that. And these individuals who organize this meeting, they are not the government, but they have experience with the government. And I've said this from the beginning. This is the way I've framed it, the way I've talked about it.
Wait, you're saying they're not government officials?
They are not government officials.
So that rules out thousands of ex-posts that have straight up lied about what they heard.
The government is gathering together pastors and prepping them for disclosure. Actually, no, these are people who are concerned about the government, who have extensive connections with what's happening in the government. Does that make sense? Now, I think in another meeting, remember there's two identical meetings organized by the same people, a certain representative was called in on that meeting. I was not in. Now
that's the one that Larry Ragland was in, that we just talked about.
Same with Jamie Walden that we were talking about.
Yeah,
so
they must have been
one,
in the same meeting. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
In that particular meeting, but there was interesting people who were called in on the meeting we were in. So that's probably why wires are being crossed on, well, they said this was said and that wasn't said in the meeting that I was in. That could be the reason. I don't know. I think both meetings were practically identical. And it's the same people running it. So that could be the reason behind that. That's the reason for that. So
yeah, and it's even confusing people like Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who someone posted something and she's like, really? Haven't heard of this, and we're running point on it. Well, again, this wasn't the government. This was people who are very interested in this subject.
Okay, so that clears that up.
I actually appreciate the efforts of...
Oh, go ahead. Do you have something?
Oh, I was just going to say, just as a reminder to people, so they're talking about that it's not that the government was leading this, but that doesn't mean that some government officials didn't have anything to do at all with one or both of the meetings, because Jamie Walden said that there were some government officials there. Actually, his exact words, again, just for people, it was government officials, some retired, some still active. I know them and their families intimately. They are legit, no matter what the internet trolls are saying. So they're just talking about that it wasn't the government who was leading this. The group that put all this together, that wasn't the government, but that doesn't mean that some government officials weren't involved in some way. So, yeah, I just wanted to give a reminder to people in case they missed that.
Yep. All right.
The representative.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
She does an amazing job trying to drill down on this, and I've reached out to her as well to give her more information about this. And one of the things that was revealed to us, and again, these are individuals who know, who are connected, and that I believe them. So, I was very skeptical. It's funny going into this meeting. You can even ask Joseph Z this and other people in the meeting. I'm the guy who's always looking side-eye at everybody. I am thoroughly unimpressed by manifestations of demons, by whatever. Anything the enemy does, I'm not impressed by it. I'm not going to chase after it. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the truth and where it connects me to the Word of God. How does this point me to the Word? How does this get the body of Christ to be stronger and to have answers for the hope that lies within us? That's what I'm interested in. And so in this meeting, I'm the one that's saying, how do we know that you're not actually leading us astray?
That's a good point.
How do we know that that isn't what this is that we're dealing? Because they start talking about a lot of the deception. Now, a lot of what's coming out about what was discussed in the meeting, it was not what these people were saying is happening. The purpose of the meeting was to reveal to pastors and church leaders that there's going to be a mass deception that's coming. Here are the many different theories that people are going to say.
Theories. Did you catch that? These are the many different theories. He didn't say these are the many different facts or disclosures or truths. He said theories. That's huge right there, Josh, I think.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind on this.
This is. However, we must stick to the Word of God and say what the Bible says it is.
Okay, I don't know, Josh. I'm just like, it's just weird to me. Like, why? Why would these individuals put themselves at this kind of risk why these, I'm going to go ahead and ask, why were these pastors handpicked? Because
Right.
look, guys, this is the question I get. I get emailed, I get message. I had somebody ask me, why weren't you picked? Well, first of all, I don't pastor a brick and mortar church, so that makes sense to me.
Yeah, same here.
And quite frankly, I don't know if I'd even would have accepted it. I don't really want to go to this because, and it's not, well, it's because you don't want to, you don't want to hear the truth, or you don't want to disclose to people the realities. And no, guys, we've been doing this. We've been talking about this. I don't know, Josh. It's just weird. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And it's just like, and now we're hearing these group of individuals were basically bringing possible theories forward. If this hypothesis comes, or if this theory comes, or if they say this, then these individuals, for whatever reason, they were so urgent to pull these, for whatever reason, these hand-picked selected pastors to warn their flock of what may be coming. It's just, go ahead, interject anything. Please help me out here.
So from what I gather, there's a group of, so whoever is running this, they're not government officials themselves, but they have some kind of ties to government officials. And if I'm understanding it right, what it sounds like is they at least this is what they're claiming, I think, is that they got some information that some type of disclosure thing or some information's going to come out, and that the government is going to have theories and frame it in certain ways. And then so these pastors need to prepare Christians for that. And and that's something that I want to ask Alan and Larry when I have them on Monday. Like, did they tell you why they picked you? Because there's a lot of other people, and I'm not saying that it has nothing to do with me or anybody that I know, but like why specifically that small group of people, and why not anyone else? And
right, well, how come Jack Hibbs, and like major pastors that have like huge influence, even bigger influence than some of these guys?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too, because I know, again, I don't know all of these people personally. I only know one or two of them maybe that were involved in this, but are they, and maybe you're more familiar, are they known for making the whole alien disclosure, Genesis 6 Bible, like, are they known for, like, is that like their thing that they talk about a lot, or is it just a topic that they kind of brush on here and there until recently? Do you know?
I don't know, but let me, I want to clarify. I mispronounced, I meant to say Jack Hibbs. I think I said Jack Hughes because I mixed up Pastor Tom Hughes and Jack Hibbs and made them the same person. So I want to make that correction. Good Lord. Don't want somebody taking that and be like, he's making up people, No, I do know Joseph Z talks about it. I know for a fact Larry talks about it. I mean, he just published a book about it. I know Alan talks about it. He's talked about it extensively. We know Jamie's talked about it. So that seems to be the consensus, and that could be why that these pastors, maybe, I'm just throwing this out, maybe whoever this group of individuals that hand-selected these pastors, they knew that they would not shy away from discussing this topic, whereas other pastors wouldn't touch it. If I had to lean on the most plausible reason why of an explanation, that's what I would lean on and believe that that's probably why, that they would not,
Yeah. And something else, did you say that they were all at a conference or something that was nearby to where this meeting was? Was there something like that?
The NRB, the National Religious Broadcasting Net. Let me pull up the clip. Here's an individual that was there. Now, just for a disclaimer here, guys, I do not know this guy. Never met, never heard of him. Don't know. This is from his channel's called The Unction. But he was there. He claims he was there. I want you to hear what he says here. Let me pull up the clip. Hold on. Let me adjust the volume. Here we go.
When he said that NRB, the National Religious Broadcasters in Tennessee, it clicked. the NRB, brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. When I went to the NRB with Laura Lynn, glory to God in heaven, I was invited in a hotel room. First, it was broadcasters, it was preachers, it was podcasters, it was network representatives, different people in this hotel room. And they was talking about pulling things together. And there was this prophecy guy, and he was talking about the end times, and he started giving you information about this great deception with the aliens. And even in the rapture of the church, they're going to say that we were abducted, and there's going to be this alien deception. This happened to me when I was at the NRB. This happened to me. And so when I was there, let me let you listen to this again.
2 identical meetings organized by the same individuals. 2 identical meetings organized by the same individuals. One was a little bit bigger, which I believe is the one that Perry Stone is referring to, and one was a little bit smaller. I was invited to both meetings. The first one I was like, nah, no thank you. The second one I happened to be in the area, and I was able to make it to the location, which is why it was in an Airbnb, because at NRB in Tennessee, there's a lot.
I just want to make sure y'all heard it with me. At NRB
in Tennessee.
Yeah. There's a lot of ministry giftings that's close to each other because they all go to the NRB, the National Religious Broadcasters. Now, when I was there, we all got in the room. This guy was talking about UFOs and the deception and all this kind of stuff. And then we was invited to some dinner that I thought was okay, but at this stupid dinner, we paying hundreds of dollars for a dinner and all this kind of stuff. And I wasn't interested in really going in all that. And the guy hands me this book, which I wish I could have pulled out now, but the book was just so stupid. It was just so stupid. But basically, when I was there, they was talking about this big deception that's about to come on the earth and this, that, and the other. And let me tell you, in all honesty, when I heard him talk about the NRB, I knew we were talking about the same individuals. So,
wow, what do you think about that? We'll listen a little bit more about that, but it's interesting. Look, guys, I don't know this guy. I don't know, but it is interesting because it's in the same timeline.
Yeah. So it sounds like he was probably there, but I don't know this person either. It sounds like he thinks the whole alien stuff and rapture and prophecy is stupid. I mean, that's what I'm kind of gathering from it.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to.
But besides that, it sounds like he's confirming that he was. So he was at the NRB thing.
Yeah, because even Alan and what's his name? I can't think of his name. It'll probably come back to me. Tony Merkel. Tony Merkel was there.
Right.
And whoever these individuals were, they came up to them. I know that for a fact because I've heard them talk about this on a podcast. Whoever these individuals, they came to them at the NRB. So there's truth to that. So I wonder if it is the same individuals. And again, guys, I don't agree with this guy trashing the rapture and trashing, us discussing this topic. That's not what I'm focused on here. What I'm saying is that there was these individuals at the NRB. Let's go.
Trying to act like y'all was in some kind of high profile meeting with some people, the para-governmental meeting in an NRB. Okay.
See, now that's where I want to stop because he's talking about two different events here. I'm not saying that what he's trying to imply that these meetings never occurred, these two meetings, because he was at the NRB and these individuals were handed two separate events. What I do believe that may be possible here, guys, is the same group that he met there, came in contact with, could be the same group of individuals who reached out to all these other pastors. That's what I'm implying here, is what I'm saying here. Possibility. Can't prove it, don't know, but go ahead.
Yeah. And maybe that's probably why this group of specific pastors, it could just be practical. They were in the area. They were already going to be there. Yep. And that's a lot more practical, a lot easier than trying to fly everybody in from all across the country. So it could just be that.
Yep. And whoever these group of individuals that were there, when they went around to the tables where these individuals are, like Alan and Larry, because I know they were all there, Tony Merkel. They saw their literature. They saw their podcast. They were acquainted with, and then that's when they begin to give them invitations. That's what I believe probably more likely took place here. Now,
that makes sense.
All right, so we want to shift here. I know we've been on here, guys, over an hour, but now we want to get on to the latest. Josh, I want to pull up this. We're going to talk about now Trump administration has just released, as of today, highly, quote, anticipated files documenting UFOs and extraterrestrial life. The Trump administration on Friday released a batch of never-before-seen files and videos of unidentified anomalous phenomenon. UAP is part of an effort to increase, the old school, we called it UFOs, to increase transparency on government knowledge of extraterrestrial phenomena. Quote, the latest UAP videos, photos, and or original source documents from across the entire U.S. government are all in one place. No clearance required. While past administrations sought to discredit or dissuade the American people, President Trump is, quote, focused on providing maximum transparency to the public. I could interject something there, but I may give you my opinion here a little bit. Who can ultimately make up their own minds about the information contained in, quote, these files. The release is a function of President Trump's unsealing and reporting system for UAP encounters pursuit program. All right, photos from the initial disclosure, which a White House official told Fox News is the first of a series of releases. Oh boy, a series. Are you excited, guys? It's a series. That will show strangely shaped objects captured on film during the Apollo 12 and Apollo 17 space missions. Okay, I want to interject something right here, Josh. Look, first of all, I'm not a flat earther. I believe in planets. I believe in space. But the one thing, and you've heard me talk about this, the one thing I will agree with on the flat earthers is that NASA is deceptive.
Sure.
It has been proven that they've doctored videos and images and removed and scrubbed and added artifacts to these things. So you're, again, part of this disclosure that we're getting now is strange objects captured on film during the Apollo 12 and Apollo 17 space missions. Josh, this is what I'm saying. People are not going to buy. I'm telling you, the majority of people are going to look at this and laugh because the credibility. One photo taken from the surface of the moon appears to show a cluster of 3 tiny dots in the sky. Here it is. Again, this is a photo from Apollo 17 moon landing that highlights 3 dots in the sky seen from the moon's surface. This is nothing extraordinary that we've not even seen. I mean, if you guys are familiar with the Phoenix Lights incident in the 1990s, that is far more interesting than this. I mean, really? Anyway, a transcript of communications between Apollo 17 operators released in the disclosure Friday details the operators' exchange over the unknown phenomenon. Quote, now we've got a few very bright particles of fragments or something that go drifting by as we maneuver, an operator told the command center. Apparently there's leaked audio on this. Again, you guys can go listen to all that. Have fun with that. Another pair of photos from the release come from the FBI and contain images from New Year's Eve 1999 showing other UAPs in the same image as U.S. aircraft. Here's the image. Woo. Breathtaking, right? In February, after former President Barack Obama told a podcaster, we already know this. I don't want to reiterate all this stuff. So now, Josh, you sent me this. This is from John Greenwald Jr., and he's giving you, this is some of the stuff they released. This is a video. Let's watch some of this. I don't know if, I mean, even from my angle, it's hard to see what we're even looking at here. Can you see it?
Not really. And most of these are just basically like a little white dot kind of gliding across the screen. There was one that was kind of strange that was like this 8-pointed star looking thing that a lot of people.
Here.
Yeah.
Let me. Okay, there we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. See the object at the bottom, guys? That is weird. But I mean, I don't know. What do you want to make of
I don't
that?
know.
But, so we're looking at, and you guys listen by Apple, by Spotify. It is a very strange. How would you even describe this object?
I have no idea, and it looks like it's leaving a trail behind it too.
Yeah, so that's. But again, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but I've looked over these files this morning before we even recorded this podcast. And here again, so far, now again, we're told this is the beginning of the series of disclosures. So far, this is nothing to get excited about.
Yeah, it's just like the Epstein files. You know, they had the whole binder thing, and this is just the first wave, and I mean it. I'm expecting probably nothing earth shattering is gonna come out of it. I haven't had a chance to, because there's like 17 different pages or something full of different documents and stuff. I haven't had a chance to look through everything, but I kind of scanned through what other people are saying, and certainly by the time, because we started probably a couple of hours after it was released, 2 or 3 hours maybe. Certainly by that time, if there was something really earth shattering in there, somebody would have made a headline about it.
Oh yeah, it'd be all over the news. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I had a chat. I asked Chat GPT to just scan through everything and tell me if there was anything really interesting in there. And it's basically what we've already talked about. The most interesting video is that one that we just looked at. I have no idea what to make of it. I don't know what it is, what it could be. But that one's strange. But there isn't anything like
smoking
to the
gun.
level of. Yeah, there's no smoking gun. There's nothing to the level of what a lot of people are expecting that you know they're going to come and release everything that they know, and they know what they are, and they're going to finally tell us that aliens are real, and it's nothing like that. And I suspect all of the coming releases are going to be exactly the same. It's going to be more of this kind of stuff. Kind of interesting, but it's stuff that we already know. The really important thing about all this is that it's constantly putting into the minds of people, of everybody in society. It's constantly putting in their minds this idea of aliens from another planet, and it's kind of making everybody evaluate how they feel about that, what they think about that. So regardless if this is all nothing, or if it's all fake, or if it's all what, for us as Christians, the most important part of what's happening right now is that it is causing people to think about aliens, to think about life on other planets, and how they feel about that in regards to whatever their personal beliefs are. So that's where, we have the opportunity, even though this is basically nothing really substantial was released, but it still does give us the opportunity to come in and answer those questions for people. That this is all explained in Genesis 6. I don't see anywhere in the Bible where we can say that, okay, well, here's where God tells us that extraterrestrials from other planets exist, and here's where it tells us what to do if we interact with them, or should we interact with them? How do we handle that? It seems like if there was something that absolutely life-changing, that paradigm shifting of an event, why would God not tell us how to handle that if it was just aliens from another planet?
Exactly.
But what it does tell us is it does tell us how to handle the enemy and deceptions, and all about the days of Noah, and even talks about how fallen angels came down onto the earth. So they're coming from above, fallen angels, not aliens, fallen angels, and mated with humans and created the Nephilim, this whole giant race. And what do we have today? We have this alien hybridization program that we've been talking about for decades at this point, and it's a repeat of Genesis 6. It's exactly right out of the enemy's playbook. So why would we think that it was anything else except what the Bible tells us exactly what it is, even if it is a little bit boring to people that may have been in this a long time? I don't want to twist, and I know you don't either. We don't want to twist the Bible to make it say something more interesting, or to entertain possibilities that aren't supported by the Bible at all. And I don't want to go through and try to twist around verses and make things mean things that they were never really intended to mean. I mean, the plain reading of the Bible is the best way to go. Yep. For example, in prophecy, there's a lot of people that want to allegorize all the future prophecies, but they'll admit that the past prophecies, those weren't allegorized. Those were fulfilled exactly as they were said, plainly said. You can go through the Bible and look at them. There's tons of fulfilled prophecies, and the way that they're fulfilled is exactly how they said that we're going to be fulfilled. So when I look at the future prophecies, I take those literally too. I take those that they're simple, easy to understand language. Yes, there's always more information that we can delve into and pull out more stuff, but the foundation of what's being said is just plainly what's being said. So when I read the Bible, I don't see extraterrestrials from other planets or aliens from other planets or whatever. I see deceptions from the enemy that we're warned to look out for, especially in the end times, especially in the birth pains, the end times that we're living in now, the time right before the rapture. And doesn't it make sense? Because we know once the restrainer is removed and we're out of here with the restrainer's removed, taken out of the way, we're taken with the restrainer, the harpazo, it's like harpoon. That's a really good mental image for what the rapture is going to be like. The Holy Spirit is not restraining the kingdom of darkness anymore after the rapture. So that's when you get all of the crazy things that we read about during the tribulation and everything. Well, we're living in, I believe, the birth pangs now, and where the best way that I can kind of try to visualize it's like that grip, that restraining is starting to loosen a little bit, and some more of these things are slipping through. So I think that we are going to see more UFO sightings, more stuff like that. But I don't think we're going to get anything as crazy as, like a UFO on the White House lawn until after we're out of the way. But after the rapture, I think that's when this lie is really going to ramp up. We're seeing drips of it now, but it's really going to ramp up. That maybe they'll explain the rapture through alien abductions. I don't know, but it'll or like we talked about on your show, there could be this big worldwide earthquake that puts everything in turmoil, so people won't even, that could, well, where did so-and-so go? He probably got caught in the earthquake. Either way, I think that's when that lie, that strong delusion is going to take full force. And that very well could be, aliens are creators, whatever. But we're seeing drips of that now. We're seeing like little shadow fulfillments of that now. And so like the ancient aliens was like, I don't even know if it's still on the air, but I know it was for like at least like 20 years, and it was the biggest show in the world for a long time. And but even if that show specifically isn't still on the air, I'm not sure if it is, but there are other people that are involved with ancient aliens are still out there promoting this just really horrendous garbage. And unfortunately, some Christians are aligning themselves with some of that, and it's like we're supposed to be holy, set apart, a peculiar people, all of that. What are we doing, muddling ourselves with the world and ancient aliens and all of this stuff? That's what we need to be fighting against.
That's good.
Like, I don't want anything to do with any of these people. I don't congratulate or commend them that now that disclosure is out and look at all the work that they've done. What work have they done? They've done work to subvert the Bible, to use the Bible to promote an alien agenda, to say, no, Ezekiel didn't really see angels. He saw a UFO, which makes absolutely no sense. It was specific. That's a whole thing. Actually, Dr. Michael Heiser has some excellent research in there that people are interested, but the work that they have done towards this disclosure thing, it's been to discredit the Bible and discredit Jesus. So I commend people like yourself, like L.A. Marzulli, Tom Horn, Gary Stearman, and loads of other like actual like Christians, truly, and everybody out there that's doing this now. There's so many that I don't know personally. I'm just naming a few off the top of my head that I know, but those are the ones that have been talking about this from a biblical perspective, not an ancient aliens ones, not having one foot in both pools, but actually talking about this from a Christian perspective, and have been offering those answers for decades at this point. I mean, Perry Stone's been doing this for like something like 50 years or something. Yeah. So these answers are available. It's just a lot of times the mainstream church doesn't really want to listen to us, but at the same time, kind of like what Glenn Beck was saying, I don't think a whole lot of Christians are going to be deceived into thinking that reptilian alien people are going to be are our creators. I think what happens is after the rapture, that kind of something like that kind of lie is going to be more prevalent. What I'm mainly worried about are people who aren't Christians and who don't know that this is evil, of the devil, demonic, whatever word we want to use. That's my real concern. And maybe some of those nominal Christians or Christians in name only that don't really have a good, solid biblical foundation. That should be our focus. But, again, and we've talked about this before too, I see so much junk online, where the focus is not where it should be. The focus isn't on Jesus. It's on what word are we using to describe these things, and let's fight about that. And anybody who doesn't use my preferred word is stupid or whatever. I see so much just really dumb arguing like that online, and it's like, guys, that is so not that's so not the focus. The focus should be eyes on Jesus at all times. Don't be deceived. What's the deception? And again, we who have audiences, who have a way to reach people, we need to be responsible with that gift that God has given us. It's a gift. We can't get egotistical about that and think we're just doing it all on our own. And the gifts, the other gifts that God has given us, if we have a gift of teaching or whatever, everything that God's given us, we need to be out there sharing that with anybody that will listen. Not bashing other people about what word to use, or not cozying up to some of the more ancient alien people or whatever. It's just there's a clear separation that there should be, that I'm not seeing as much as we should expect that there should be. So so I just want to tell people, be real careful, and actually going back, I know I'm kind of on a rant right now, but going back to something we kind of breezed over, the Matt Gaetz hybridization thing. Part of that, he said that the reason that they're making these hybrids is so that there could be communication between like us and beings of other worlds. Well, by and large, what people, abductees, people that do the research, what they say is all of these aliens, these so-called extraterrestrials, they can all speak telepathically, but for some reason we can't. And that means that there's something wrong with us. Like we're degraded in some way, because we should be able to speak to speak telepathically, but we can't. Right. And that's a big lie that's going out there, and some Christians are buying into it. I've had people confront me and ask me, like, Josh, I'm really worried that my prayers aren't reaching Jesus because the pineal gland and it's calcified and I don't know what to do. And it's like, oh, that is such new age garbage that has no place in Christianity. And I'm not, like, for the person who's worried and has questions, I'm not saying they're stupid. It's like the thing that you were told is stupid, and it's not biblical, and it's not Christian. That is new age. I came out of new age. I have years and years of experience with it, and that is exactly the kind of language they use. And they use the stuff like we should be able to use telepathy. We should be able to have all these extra powers. And they'll even say, like, oh, Adam and Eve had all these powers. Adam and Eve could speak telepathically, even though the Bible doesn't say anything like that. Yeah. And Michael Heiser, he had and I'm going to paraphrase, this was years ago that I listened to this, but he had an answer to this. And he said, when Jesus came, yes, of course, Jesus, fully man, fully God. He was fully God, so he could do more miracles than we obviously can. But Jesus also said that that you'll do greater things
works
than he did. Right. So when Jesus came, he came fully human. So let's focus on that. He's the second Adam, right? He's the representation of humanity without sin. He wasn't flying around. He wasn't mentally telepathy talking to people and stuff. He was a man. I mean, fully God, fully man, but he's a perfect representation of mankind. There is no reason to assume that Adam and Eve had all these basically superpowers that that was lost somehow. Now, maybe when we're glorified, maybe then, Jesus ascended into heaven. Maybe there's something there. He entered a room that was totally closed. So there seems to be some extra dimensional traveling kind of stuff going on there. Fine. But Adam and Eve, during in the garden and everything, they were perfectly human. And there's no reason to believe that, well, they were able to, because this is what's claimed, they're able to communicate with telepathically. They're able to do all these superhuman things. Some have even said that they could fly and stuff. They could do all these things, even though the Bible doesn't say that. But here's the danger, is that what gets in there is, oh, and you can do it too. You just need to do X, Y, and Z. You just need to do this to reclaim it. Or some people out there who have psychic powers, it's because they're actually tapping into this ancient Garden of Eden stuff that we all had. And that opens the door so wide to New Age. And that kind of stuff is exactly me raised as a Christian, why I got into New Age and got totally deceived by it. It was through exactly that kind of dangerous teachings. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people claiming the name Christian out there that are talking about that stuff. So when that Matt Gaetz story came up that, they're breeding them so they could speak telepathically, it reminded me exactly of that. It's like, no,
Yeah.
this is New Age garbage. This is completely distinct from Christianity. Christians should have nothing to do with that. Again, we are to be holy, which means set apart. We're supposed to be different, unique, set apart. We're supposed to be a peculiar people, all of this stuff. We're supposed to be set apart from all that. But the world is embracing all this New Age, extraterrestrial, pro-alien stuff. The world loves that. There's the sci-fi nerd in me likes the stories and finds it interesting, but we can't adopt that as truth just because of that. We can't adopt that into our belief system just because it would be more exciting or more interesting if that were true. That's so dangerous. And then we could be inadvertently leading people directly into hell through stuff like that, because I'm telling you, it was exactly that stuff that got me into New Age as a professing Christian. I thought I was living for Christ. I certainly wasn't. I was totally deceived. And I actually was so bad that I thought that you could incorporate New Age into Christianity, and that New Age was just kind of just like lost Christianity that we should have known, but we don't because stuff got lost, and God's going to let us reclaim that. And it's all garbage. It's deceptive. And it directly led to this horrible demonic attack that my family and I went through, that I inadvertently invited in. And then it was actually, that's how I found out about L.A. Marzulli. I was going through this horrible time, had no idea what to do. And I was flipping through the channels, saw L.A., never heard of him before, but he was talking about alien stuff, sci-fi stuff, Mark of the Beast, Genesis 6. I never heard any of that before. And then he was talking about how he came out of New Age and he was deceived by all this. And it was like, oh my gosh, there's my answer. So it wasn't any of this New Age, ancient aliens, absolute garbage that brought me to the truth. It was the complete inverse of that, where it's like, no, all of that is the enemy. That's all deceptive. It's all demonic. And I'm not going to shy away from that word. Some Christians are. I don't know why. Some Christians have this idea that using the word demonic or saying that something is demons is like lazy or stupid, or it's not. If that's as far as somebody can understand it, and I know demons, fallen angels, watchers, there's different categories. But, I was talking to my wife about this morning. I was like, one thing about me that I don't share in common with a lot of guys is I know nothing about cars. Nothing. A lot of guys know a lot about cars. I'm just not interested in it. Never really have been. I know enough that if we get a flat tire or if something really basic goes wrong, I can fix it. I know enough. Right. But if I were to try to explain how a car works, I would get a lot of things wrong, and I would probably use a lot of wrong words. But again, in an emergency, I know enough to get by. Well, with a lot of people, most people there's a lot of people that just aren't that interested in the alien topic for whatever reason. It's just not an interest of theirs. So they know enough to get by. They know enough that it's demonic. Okay, good enough. Hey, if you're a Christian, you know that it's demonic. Right. You are leaps and bounds ahead of most of the world. So that's great. I would never dog on somebody, or I would never say or imply that somebody's stupid or lazy because they use a word like that. No, maybe they just don't have a really big interest like we do in it. But as long as they know that it's demonic and to stay away from it, great. There's a ton of things in Christianity I don't personally have that much of an interest in, and I don't really talk about that much, but I know enough to get by that if Satan tries to deceive me about those topics, I know enough about what the Bible says about those that can defend against that. So I know I threw a whole lot out there at you, but that Matt Gaetz thing reminded me of that, and just reminded me of so much of the stuff that I'm seeing online now in this whole disclosure era that we're living in. But I'll hand it back to you.
No, we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping this up. But I want to, give where I stand on this. I believe, and I've said this before publicly, people's heard it, and I still stand behind this. And after today's disclosure, it doesn't change my mind on this. I personally believe, based on the history of other disclosures, JFK files, strike 1, the Epstein files, strike 2, I believe this is going to be strike 3. I don't think that we're going to get any smoking gun. I don't even think Josh, that we're going to see a quote unquote body. I don't think we're going to see that.
Either.
I don't think we're going to see any of this stuff. And this is going to, this could be the thing, honestly, if we're going to go into a political aspect of this, this could be the thing that really infuriates a lot of Trump supporters because they were looking for, you know, he dropped the ball on the JFK files. They dropped the ball. The Epstein files was a big one. Now this, and what's going to happen. I mean, think about what this is going to do to all these pastors that we've been discussing here, how it's going to make them look. You know, unfortunately, we're not going to look down on them, but the majority out there among, even in the Christian community, they're going to look down and frown upon these people and say, well, I told you they were charlatans and fakes, and look, you know, nothing's coming. They were told this is coming. I'm just telling you, I know how this works. Now, I thought this was really interesting. Now this is a video from Ruslan. Some people will know who this is, some people won't, but he made a very good point about, and I love how he brings this out about anyone who thinks that he talks about these crafts, aliens coming from space. Listen to this.
Here's where I would agree that whatever comes of aliens or UFOs are not going to be something that is coming from another galaxy. They're going to be interdimensional, not cross-galaxy, okay? For starters, the laws of physics make it extremely difficult, practically impossible, for physical beings from another galaxy to visit Earth, okay? According to Einstein's special relativity, nothing but mass can reach or exceed the speed of light. So the speed of light is 186,000 miles per second, okay? And Einstein's theory of relativity is saying that it can't reach anything. Furthermore, our nearest galaxy is the Andromeda galaxy, which is a picture of it here. That is 2.5 million light years away. 2.5 million light years away. So even traveling at nearly the speed of light, the trip would take millions of years for someone to come here from another galaxy. Okay? Second, the energy required and the fuel required is absolutely staggering to go that far. The rocket equation shows that the faster you go, the exponentially more fuel you need, quickly making this more impossible. They're coming millions and millions and millions of light miles away, and you have to carry a spaceship and beings on the spaceship, okay? Again, that makes it impossible. So they have to have some other form of fuel and some other form of technology to make everything light to be able to travel that far, and they'd have to live millions and millions of years old, so on and so forth. Okay. Third, at those extreme speeds, okay, millions and millions and millions of traveling at the speed of light, those tiny little specks of dust in space would smash into a ship with the force of bullets or bombs destroying it. Friends, despite popular opinion, space travel is not Star Wars. Okay. So you have that. Radiation hazards would also be deadly, okay? And time dilation means thousands or millions of years could pass on Earth while almost no time passes for the travelers, okay? It'd basically be a super mission. So in short, Einstein's theory of relativity and the rocket equation creates enormous barriers that make interstellar travel from another galaxy highly impractical for physical spacecraft and biological beings to come here.
All right, so
all of that I absolutely love. Like I've watched a couple of his videos and I've liked what I've seen, but my first major release was Quantum Creation. I love physics. I'm obsessed with like quantum physics and all of this stuff. Everything he said 100% true. So what a lot of people do is they'll say, "Oh, well, then wormholes." But there's even more problems with trying to travel that way. For one thing, the energy that you would so the way that a wormhole works is you're basically bending space, and you have to bend that into an extra dimension. So like if I had a piece of paper and I wanted to, a lot of people have seen that demonstration for movies and stuff, but they basically fold the sheet of paper and stick a pencil through and say that's how a wormhole works. Yeah, kind of, but you have issues with that. For one thing, you're literally bending that space to do that. So you would like the two ends of the sheets of paper are touching. Like you're going to have stars and planets and stuff like crashing into each other. You're literally folding space to do that. Now, maybe on a smaller, more limited, like not for travel, but maybe something more smaller or limited or localized, you might be able to do a wormhole like that. But also the incredible amount of energy needed. Think about it, like our sun, stars out there, like our sun. Our sun is not creating a wormhole, and that's a massive ball of just pure energy. As far as you could get is like maybe black hole, like when a star collapses and turns into a black hole. A black hole is not the same as a wormhole, at least in the way that these people are talking. Black holes are, you cannot use those for travel. Actually, this gets into some really trippy physics stuff, but if you were to try to even enter a black hole because of time dilation, like he was mentioning, because of that, the universe would burn out before you ever got there. It just, and that's just how it works. It's because gravity affects time, and it's a whole thing in physics. But if people are interested, I have a book called Quantum Creation, where people can find it on Amazon. Quantum Creation by Josh Peck, where I lay out all the basics of quantum physics for the Christian and put it in really easy to understand ways. I'm talking fast here because I know we're limited on time, but basically the whole wormhole idea, you can't make one without, like, wormhole. The idea of wormholes and black holes are really linked. They're almost the same thing. But how do you make a stable wormhole? Well, there's one theory out there, and this is the only one that I heard that has any kind of maybe plausibility to it. Is so black holes spin and they pull in. If you could have a spin that was fast enough that it would counteract the extreme gravity, then maybe you could have something that's traversable. But we're talking about something that has more energy than a black hole. And we've never observed any or have any idea about a black hole that could actually do that. So it's highly speculative, I think it's impossible. But it's extremely highly speculative. But even more than that, if aliens were using some type of wormhole or some type of black hole or some type of technology like that, how do you hide the energy signature? We would detect that. Like, the energy would be unmistakable. You'd probably be able to see it with the naked eye. But we would absolutely detect that. Something would be up. If we're able to detect two black holes colliding light years away, and that LIGO did that, what was it, 2015 or some odd years ago? If we're able to detect that, we would certainly detect an alien craft that was using a wormhole to travel from one planet to ours. It would be unmistakable. So I don't think that's what's going on. I think these beings, they extra-dimensional, interdimensional, whatever, I believe that they are here, and they do have technology more advanced from our own. You know, we read in the Bible that the angels can take on physical forms, so there's no reason to think that, and obviously fallen angels do because they made it with human beings. There's no reason to think that they can't also manipulate, physical things and create things and make technology. So I fully believe, I have no problem with the idea that they probably have developed some technology. I actually think that they use these UFO crashes as a way to give us that technology that they'll use to try to destroy us later. Again, this is all laid out. Genesis 6, Book of Enoch chapter 6 talks about how when the angels came down, they didn't just mate with humans, but they also gave us metallurgy and like weapons and all of this stuff. Same thing happening today. So to me, it's like the whole alien extraterrestrial hypothesis doesn't at all explain what's happening. What really explains it is Genesis 6, the entire Bible, everything about prophecy, days of Noah, all of that, the entire Bible. And then for some extra information, if people want some extra information, you can look at Enoch to help fill in a little bit of the blanks. But if people are uncomfortable with Enoch, that's fine. The Bible tells you exactly what you need to know that this phenomenon, whatever all the ins and outs of every little detail is, it is from the enemy. It is from Satan. It is demonic. It is fallen angel technology, as L.A. Marzulli says. It's fallen watchers, as I talk about in Return of the Watchers. Yep. It's all from the kingdom of darkness, and that's the most important thing that we as Christians need to focus on. instead of getting at each other's throats about all these dumb little arguments that don't really matter. When a lot of it, when I see that, it's really a lot of people are trying to position themselves up and bolster themselves up and make a name for themselves, basically. And it's like, all right, we need to recognize the time that we're living in. Playtime's over. We don't have time to mess around with that stuff. Who cares about audience size or clout or any of that? Who cares about that? What we need to be doing with whatever influence we have, whether it's really small or really big, we need to be telling people mainly, first and foremost, about Jesus. And then during this time of disclosure, we need to be out there answering questions that people have. How does this relate to the Bible? Just like I had before I was a really strong believer. And because if we don't do that, if we're too busy fighting with each other, New Age and other stuff will certainly come in and they will provide those answers. And those are the answers that led me into deception. And that was, as a professing Christian, led me into deception years and years and years ago. It will lead other people into deception too. And that's what we need to be focused on.
Amen, man. Let me give you this final thought here, guys. So when we're talking about end time deception, now we don't have time for the video because we're running out of time, but there's a man by the name of Dr. Stephen Greer. He is allegedly having this meeting today. This guy is, you want to talk about somebody that's delved into New Age and all this nonsense. Yes. This guy actually believes, he claims that he communicates with aliens, and he is trying to discredit Christianity, discredit the whole theory of, and again, there is a video. I'm not going to play this video, but I'll pull this up for our audience so that they can see this when they get a chance. Look it up. The name of this is It's Not Demons. J.D. Vance is wrong about UFOs, Dr. Stephen Greer. And in this interview, he's basically creating this narrative that Christians are the deceivers, that we're trying to promote a holy war and all this stuff. And again, we don't have time to go into that. Final thoughts here. Ephesians chapter 6, Paul says, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but principalities, powers, rulers of darkness of this age, and spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. Again, we're talking about interdimensional demonic forces here. Matthew 24, the first thing that Jesus warned about above all the other signs, take heed that no one deceives you. Luke 21, verse 11, there will be fearful sights and great signs from heaven. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, Paul says that there is coming a falling away, and that once, Josh talked about this, once the harpazo happens, the restrainer is removed, then there will be an element of evil, unlike we've ever seen, of lawlessness, wickedness, deception, that will be so great, lying signs and wonders, that if possible, the very elect would be deceived. I do have this video. It's only 1 minute, 51 seconds long, but this is very intriguing. This is from a former president of the United States. I want you to hear this is Ronald Reagan in a speech. This is very interesting because I want to say this. I don't think these are going to be aliens from another planet coming. If let's just say, if something was to transpire where they were to conjure up something of a lying sign and wonder where an alleged craft was to land, and some type of alien being, whether it be quote unquote reptilian or whatever, was to get out and claim it was our creator and all of this nonsense, this would be the thing that the masses would believe, the lie, the deception. But it could help initiate a global unity, one world religion, and apostasy. Mm-hmm. Listen, this is fascinating, Josh. If you've never heard this, listen to this.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
He's basically making the point that you just said, that we need this outside threat to bring us together.
Yes.
And when you compare that with just the book of Revelation, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And that's why I believe so strongly that strong delusion will have something to do with that, because what greater thing than something that's outside of Earth could deceive the whole world? And I want to make a comment too that you mentioned, and I'm glad you brought it up because I completely forgot. I wanted to talk about this on the show, but Stephen Greer. Oh my gosh, I cannot overemphasize how absolutely dangerous this guy is for people's eternal souls, and people really need to, because I know he's like in the news, and unfortunately some Christians are even like cozying up to him and stuff. This guy is so anti-biblical, so I mean, talk about spirit of Antichrist walking around in the flesh. I mean, that's like this guy, because and one of the things that he does, it's called CE5. He gives classes, or he teaches people how to do this. This is like idolatry. This is exactly like praying to false gods. He thinks that you can have this telepathy, like, and you can call these aliens and talk with them in your mind. That's prayer. And he actually has demonstrations where he says that he can make these things manifest. If you call them with your mind, they'll come. That right there proves they can't be aliens from another planet. What on earth? How does that make any sense? A biological species on some other planet, we have a thought, and they're gonna come get in their spaceships and race over here so we can see them, and then they're gonna go fly away. Like, would we do that? Like, if we discovered some primitive alien race on let's say Mars or whatever, maybe they're living underground, and would we, every time they like prayed to us, would we go and just show ourselves a little bit and then go fly away? None of that makes any sense. And now it makes perfect sense if it's the kingdom of darkness. If it's the old false gods wanting prayer, wanting prayer for themselves, like they always have. That's what idolatry and all that stuff is all about. Well, then it makes perfect sense why they would show up. Makes perfect sense why they wouldn't just land and present themselves and say, "Hi, here I am. I'm a alien in a physical body, and I'm from this planet." They don't do that. They show themselves and they leave. This is exactly the deception. Satan knows how to deceive people. And Stephen Greer is, I think he's like the top of deceivers that are actively leading people straight into hell with this stuff. I'm so glad you brought him up because, and he's not the only one, there's others, but unfortunately, I have seen some Christians actually give props to, because the disclosure movement is making some headway apparently, and disclosures happening apparently and all this stuff. So I've seen some Christians who are interested in the UFO stuff, like, give kudos to some of these guys about their hard work in making this happen. And it's like, well, what is their hard work? Their hard work is deceiving people. I'm not giving them credit for anything. They're leading people into hell. I'll give credit to people like you, like L.A. Marzulli. I'll give credit to those people, but I'm not giving any credit. They're actively leading people into hell. Like, eternal souls are being lost because of this deception. And we're not even in the full brunt of it. When it gets to the tribulation, when the strong delusion really takes hold, we're seeing little drips of it now, but when it really takes hold, it's going to be so much worse. So yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up. Sorry, I went on another thing, but I really wanted to make mention of that because it's so deceptive, so dangerous, and they'll disguise it in Christian language. So we all need to be really, really careful about who we listen to, who we allow teach us, and where we get our information from.
All right, that was excellent. Guys, again, thank you so much for being a part of the program. We are literally running out of time. We've got like a minute and a half. Typically, we do hour programs. I knew we was going to take our time today, and we went 2 hours. I hope you enjoyed the program. Josh, thank you so much for being a part of the program. Looking forward to seeing you again sometime.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. So again, thank you so much for being a part of this Friday program, this very special Friday podcast. We hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you've been blessed by it. If you found any value to this content, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. And again, as always, if you love our content and you'd like to know more about partnering with End Time Headlines, so that you can help us continue to do what we do, here is more on that, and we'll be right back.
If you enjoy our content and would like to partner with End Time Headlines, helping us make more people aware of the times and seasons which we are in from a prophetic perspective, you can go to endtimeheadlines.org and click Support. Here you can give a one-time gift or a monthly pledge on our main website. This page also shows you how to give electronically through Cash App or Venmo. If you would like to give by check or money order, you can make it out to End Time Headlines at P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia 30655. Or you can give through our free End Time Headlines app by pressing the bottom right button that says Donate.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your generous support and your partnership. Listen, we're going to sign off for tonight and for this weekend. We will be right back here Monday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, with our normal, typical live devotional and prayer. So we hope to see many of you guys back on Monday night. Until we see you guys then, I pray the Lord bless you, may he keep you, and may his countenance shine upon you. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.